Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside Washington's Crossing, a game of the winter campaign of 1776 to 1777. It is volume 1 in the campaigns of the American Revolution series, and it is aptly published by Revolution Games. And the designer is Roger Miller, and I had the chance to chat with him a bit at the San Diego Historical Games Convention. And he's just a great guy, great designer, great developer, and Revolution Games is a great game company. If you're not already familiar with Revolution Games, I strongly recommend you go to their website now. Check out their catalog. They have some fantastic games. I either own or have played nearly everything in their catalog, but they have one of the best, if not the best, Battle of the Bulge games with their game Cells, which the reason why I say it's one of the best is it's not the biggest, it's not the most in-depth, but it is just a really fun, challenging game. But the biggest key is that you're going to get it played very quickly, easily in an evening. So just a fantastic game. But let's take a look at the back of the box here. For Washington's Crossing, it says here, Washington's Crossing is an operational simulation of the American winter campaign of December 25th, 1776 to January 6th, 1777 that resulted in the twin victories of Trenton and Princeton and turned the fortunes of the American Revolution. The situation is fluid and desperate for both sides, allowing for numerous strategies for both players. Victory is determined through battle victories and occupation of key objectives to simulate the British effort to pacify and restore the loyalty of New Jersey. Washington's Crossing is the first game in the campaigns of the American Revolution series. Future linkable titles in the series will cover the New York campaign of 1776, the Philadelphia campaign of 1777, and the New Jersey campaign of 1778. It says here, game features. Washington's Crossing uses an original system for river crossing that simulates the uncertainty of the winter crossings. Combat system that simulates surprise, leader quality, preparation time, and outflanking. Movement system that simulates leader quality, variable movement rates, fatigue, force march, and reaction. Detailed weather rules, unit strength tracked in 10-man increments, map scale is 1.14 miles per hex, time scale is 4 turns per day, and the estimated playtime is 6 to 10 hours, and it is considered a moderate complexity. And it says here, 200 die cut counters. Game comes with 200 die cut counters, 2 game setup charts, 2 player charts and tables, British leader display, American leader display, a 22 by 34 inch map, 1 10-sided die, and a 20-page rules booklet. And there's the example of the map on the back here and the example of the counters you're going to get in it. And that's what makes this game a little different is it's not your standard war game where you're moving. I mean, you are moving and fighting and stuff, but you're tracking, like it says here. It says your unit strength tracked in 10-man increments. You're going to be tracking unit strength differently than you do in your standard war game. So that's one of the things that's going to make this unique. But let's take a look inside the box and see the components themselves. Here's your 10-sided die. Got your manual, which we'll come back to. Got our game map. And we've got all of our player aids and our counters. And here's a look at your counters. You have your Patriot side, your British side. Not a lot of, it's very low counter density because you're going to be tracking your manpower, the size of your troop strength on a separate, one of these separate counters, or one of these separate sheets, I should say. So it's going to be a little different than you're normally expecting to see in a war game in a good way, from my understanding of it. I've yet to play it, but from what I've seen of it, it looks really interesting. And before we go any further, I thought this was pretty dang cool when I opened this up. This is just a little personal note, but this is Matawan here, and this is Middletown. This is New Jersey. The reason I found this really funny is because roughly based on this map scale, I grew up somewhere in that neighborhood there. Obviously not this time period, but once it got built up. And another little piece of, fun little piece of history. This here, this little creek that goes through here, this should be the Matawan Creek if you go by the map. The Matawan Creek, this is just a little movie trivia for you fellow movie nerds. Matawan Creek is what inspired Peter Benchley to write the book Jaws, because there was a series of shark attacks in New Jersey in this creek that happened in 1916, and also along the shore of New Jersey, which is what inspired the book by Peter Benchley, Jaws, which has scared the heck out of everybody and made a lot of people not even want to take baths in 1975 when we saw that movie originally. I remember not even wanting to go in my pool after seeing that movie. A lot of fun though. But here is the map itself. Let's see if I can back it out a little bit more so you can see it. I'll probably have to turn it sideways so you can get a better look at the map. But beautiful map. Nice, really nice art on it here. You've got your trees, you've got your open areas, you've got your rivers, your streams, I'm going to guess these are. And then we've got the different types of weather down here. You've got your day markers for December and into January. And it's the same on both sides of the map. All of the other information you need for weather and time of day and the days itself are on the left side of the map. But it covers a good section of New Jersey. And then it goes down into Pennsylvania here. You've got your Delaware River that flows through here. And you've got different crossing points, different ferry crossing points here, there, and then two more down here, and then a few more down here as well. So those would be the major ferry crossings along the Delaware. And we've got this is what I was talking about before. Let's see if I can find the Patriot one, which is right here. These are the unit trackers that you're going to use for each of your leaders that are going to track the numbers of units you have in increments of 10. This is how things are going to be a little bit different in your traditional war game because there's going to be a lot more bookkeeping involved in this game than normal. Normally you just stack things and move them around and have combat. Here you're going to have to maintain some account of the troop strength of each unit. And then you've got your crossing percentage loss table. This gives you, it says here, Washington's crossing combat results are given as percentage of the defender strength. For those who don't use a calculator, we provided a table to aid gamers in calculating combat losses. For any force that takes a loss, simply reference the 1,000 number, the hundreds number, tens number versus the percentage that applies and add them together to round to the nearest 10. For example, a force of 2,370 troops takes a loss of 15%. So that total casualty would be 355.5. You just round it up to 360. So that's how the math is done for the bookkeeping aspect of this that we talked about just a second ago. That has some errata on here as well. And then we've got our charts and tables. This is your combat results, attacker to defender ratio, surprise table die roll modifier, attack combat die roll modifiers, and you've got your movement matrix, Delaware River crossing table, movement costs, raid table, raid leader table, raid results, different types of weather tables down here. That's the second one. You've got one for each player. And then you've got your setup, the quick start game. It says first turn is 7 a.m. on December 26, 1776, and last turn is 12 p.m. on January 6, 1777. Previous turn's weather was snow. And this gives you the setup for the British and setup for the Patriots here on this side. And then you've got the campaign game, which starts at 5 p.m. on December 25th, 1776, and it ends on 12 p.m. on January 7th or January 6th, 1777. And the previous turn's weather was fair. So if you want to do the quote-unquote short game, it starts at 7 a.m. the following morning, the day after Christmas, and it goes all the way till noon on January 6th. If you want to do the campaign game, it starts out at 5 p.m. on Christmas evening and continues on till noon, January 1776. But that is a look at all that. Now we'll take a look inside the rule book itself. Rule book goes to page 21, and it starts off on page 2. It looks like it goes here to the rules themselves, go all the way down to setup on page 20. And then from 20 to 21 goes over victory points, objectives, battle victory points, leader captures, and objectives occupied at the end of the game, as well as winning the game. We'll start off on page 2 with the introduction, goes into components, the game map, playing pieces, and it explains to you all the different parts of the counters. You have your activation costs on the top left, your command span at the top right. The white box identifies that is a militia leader, command radius here on the bottom right, and then the leader rating on the bottom left. And then we get into all the aspects of how that's used. The naval units, you've got for the naval units, you have downstream movement on the top left, hex side facing arrow, so which way the unit is facing, and then upstream movement is the top right. And you have limited intelligence, stacking, zones of control, break down the sequence of play, along with raids for the Americans. British reinforcements, British command reorganization, American reinforcements and withdrawals, American command reorganization, command phase, activation, activating by die roll, British initial response, command span, movement, night movement, force march, reaction movement, major river crossings, naval movement, fatigue, recovery, and then you got detachments, transferring strength between leaders, then the attack types, normal and hasty attack, prepared attack, combat procedures, and modifiers, how to handle retreats. And it looks like there's some examples of play in here as well, which I passed a couple already, but illustrated examples of play. Surrender, disorder, route, entrenchments, garrison requirements, and then we get into the game setup, which is item 21, which starts on page 20, and then gets into all the victory points and everything that you get, as far as, I should say, everything that explains to you how to win the game. And then the designer's notes start on page 22 and carry over into the back of the manual. But that is everything that comes inside of Washington's Crossing. That is the Game of the Winter campaign, 1776 to 1777. It is volume 1 in the campaigns of the American Revolution from Revolution Games, designed by Roger Miller. And like I said, if you are not familiar with Revolution Games, I strongly recommend you go to their website now, check them out. They got a really fantastic catalog of games, and they're actually going to be ramping things up starting this year with even more games being published on a regular basis. So that's a great thing to hear. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. See you next time.